Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Prachi, and I welcome you all on behalf of Submastery in today's session. Submastery is an edtech that works in B2B as well as B2C categories. We provide learning resources in online as well as offline mode, basically for manufacturing and automotive industries. We are associated with more than 250 industries across India. We have trained more than 50,000 professionals, right from junior level engineers to higher management executives. And we have conducted almost 1,500 plus live as well as classroom training sessions till now. We have 25,000 registered learners on our app, and we have more than 3,000 paid members, that is B2C in B2C categories. So we have now started this new venture or new initiative that is taking sessions for HR fraternity. So in today's session, we are going to talk about communication. And today we have a trainer is Shaila ma'am, who is basically HR person. She has worked in HR and now she is a trainer. She has vast experience of more than 15 years in industry as well as in training. So warm welcome to Shaila ma'am, and let's begin our learning for today. Over to you, Shaila ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prachi. Thank you so much. So very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session by Submastery in communication skills for HR people. So great. So do we begin, Prachi, or are we still waiting then?
We can start, ma'am. We can start.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I'll quickly share my screen with all of you. All right, so is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yes.
Great. Okay, so I think we have various HR leaders today in this forum, in this group. So anyone, maybe 2-3 of you, would you like to kind of share something about yourself? Would you like to introduce yourself before we begin? Maybe just 2-3 of you. You are from which your complete name, which organization?
Hi everyone. Am I audible?
Hi. Yes, Danish, you are.
Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Myself Danish, and I am heading India Manufacturing HR for Riches and connected with Submastery from the initial stage. The relationship almost more than 10 years with Arunji. So it's nice to be part of this session. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great. So anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Ganesh Kumar Roy. Hello.
Hi Ganesh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Yes,
sir.
Ganesh, we continue. Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Yes, Ganesh. Prachi, is it audible?
Hello.
Yes, Ganesh, please go ahead.
Hello. क्या मेरी बात हेलो
Yes.
आवाज
Yeah, you are audible, Ganesh. Probably there's some connectivity issue with Ganesh's. All right, no worries. So thank you once again, and a big warm welcome once again. So let's start with our today's session, the business communication for HR leaders. So maybe few introduce yourselves. So Prachi has already done a great job, but I thought let me just kind of share a bit more about myself, since we are all HR here. So I have done my in human resources, and I have a total of 17 years of corporate work experience. So currently I'm working as an English and a soft skill trainer and facilitator. So a little bit about me. I love traveling to different cities and different places a lot. I love to meet people, and I also love training. So training is my passion, and I'm so grateful that I'm also into training. And I really believe that if training, done with the right intent, can actually bring about a lot of difference in people's life. And that is my whole objective of getting completely into training from the HR domain. All right, so I
Maybe your voice is not audible
think
now.
it's a
There's some
short
issue.
session today but it's still, sorry. Okay, so it's just a short session of 1 hour. So we have just kind of concised our communication skills to just 2 topics. We'll be understanding what is effective business communication. We will also be understanding different communication styles that we all have, in which we'll be talking about assertive communication and listening. So these are the only 2 things that we'll be focusing on since our session, our time given is little short for today. So, all right. So when we talk about communication, so we say communication. So have you ever wondered, if you aren't sleeping, what are you all doing? If we aren't sleeping, what are we doing?
We love connection with others.
Who is it? Am I not audible?
Audible, ma'am? Am I?
Ma'am, you are audible. Ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. Danish, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. We can.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I was just asking that if we aren't sleeping during the day, right? 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever, it's a luxury sleep to sleep for 8 hours now. But whatever time we get to sleep, if we aren't sleeping, what are we actually doing? What is the one thing that we are doing if we aren't sleeping? We are working, we are talking, we are driving, we are reading, we are at work, we are watching TV, right? So what is that one common thing between all the activities that I just mentioned?
We are in isolation. We are not
Just
connected with anyone.
oh, is that the answer you are giving, Danish?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. We are in isolation. No, so when I'm saying that we are working, we are talking, we are reading, so are we in isolation at that time?
Mm,
When
Working
we are
is
working, we are surrounded with people, right? So are we in isolation? Or when we are home, just watching TV or just having food with our family, are we in isolation at that time?
for sleeping. It yes.
No, I said if we aren't sleeping, so if we are not sleeping, then all the activities that we are doing, which I just listed, can you find any common connection between all these activities? So when we are reading, we are talking, we are working, we are with us. What is the one thing that we are doing? All of us. Even in isolation, even if Danish, if you say it's in isolation, okay, we are watching TV in isolation, all right, got it. But still, what are we all doing? What is the common thing that we are doing in all these activities? What exactly are we doing?
Data connection, data storage.
Yes, absolutely.
Analyzing.
Absolutely. Yes, Radhakrishnan. So we are connecting, right? We are connecting with a device, we are connecting with people virtually, through various mediums. We are connecting with people in reality, whether with family, with work, with friends, social, personal, whatever. So we are actually communicating. So know it or not, consciously or subconscious, we are communicating all the time of the day. And even if we are not communicating, there is something called a body language. Our body is communicating. So communication is that integral life skill, I would say, more than a work skill. It's a life skill, that we all kind of require at every level, whatever we are doing, right? So we say communication is the connection between people. All right. And what is effective communication? So effective communication is when your audience understands your meaning in the way you meant it to be understood, right? So आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं और किसी और को कुछ और समझ आ गया, तो वो effective communication नहीं है. That is just तुम्हें लग रहा है तुमने बोल दिया, हो गया, communication over हो गया, it has been done. So as a HR person, you have declared maybe a policy, a change in a policy, and you have just kind of thought that मेरा तो काम खत्म हो गया, मैंने तो बता दिया सबको कि भाई इस दिन से ये वाली पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंटेड है, इतने बजे ऑफिस के ये टाइमिंग्स हो गए हैं और व्हाटएवर, सो मेरा तो काम खत्म हो गया, मैंने कम्युनिकेट कर दिया. बट आर वी रियली इफेक्टिवली कम्युनिकेटिंग? And this becomes really critical, especially as HR leaders, especially as HR managers, because we are all the time communicating with our people, right? So look at this slide. Can anyone read what's on the slide? Just one line.
Communication. The interaction is important. Both sides. Feedback is required.
Sorry, Radhakrishnan?
It is
80%.
interaction is important and the feedback. Important interaction and feedback. It is not feeling in the communication.
No, I didn't get that.
80% of workplace issues are related to communication.
Yes. So look at the huge number of percentage that is being assigned to the workplace issues which are related to communication. It's not 40%, it's not 50%, it's not 60, it's not 70, it's 80. It's a huge chunk, right? It's a huge chunk. And these are not my words. This is a researched to the workplace. So as HR people, how many of you would agree with it? Do you actually agree with it? Whatever level you guys are, do you really agree with it? So you may be in manufacturing organizations, you may be technically acing, probably a lot of skills and capacities, but then we say that 80% of the workplace issues are related to communication. Do you think this is, how much do you agree with this statement? Or do you even agree with it? Do you think this is a...
Yes.
Yes? Do you feel?
Yes.
course, it's a
So,
research
so-
things, but do you think is this a correct statement which is being made? You also feel the same wherever you guys are working, even if it's your first assignment. Yes, you also feel that way. So communication that way becomes hugely a critical life skill for everyone at workplace. But I would say more so for HR people, for HR leaders, for HR managers. Why? Because HR people are also known as fancy designations nowadays, but whatever said and done, irrespective of what kind of a role of HR you're performing, whether it's a generalist HR profile, whether you're only into training, learning, development, you're only into payroll, and a lot of organizations, especially the smaller ones, you have HR and admin combined, right? So when you are grievance redressal, induction training, or exit interviews, payroll management, or comp and benefit, whichever aspect of HR you are handling, point is that you are handling it for the organization, and the organization is made up of people. So you are basically ever doing everything for the people, right? Policies for the people, you're communicating policies to the people, you're taking feedback about those policies or whatever is going on in the organization. So it's all about the interaction with people, right, as HR people. So communication that way becomes one critical, absolutely hugely essential life skill to be developed and really worked on as HR leaders, right? So okay, so I just thought if we could little role play on communication. Can I just have 2 volunteers here? It's a very short one, and to all of you in some way or the other. So it's nothing different from the work that you are doing. So just 2 volunteers. Guys, let's interactive as possible this session, because it's a freebie, but lots to learn. One can always learn from wherever we are, right? So the more we kind of participate, the more we get to learn, for sure. So just 2 people, just 2 of you, come on. Danish, you would like to participate?
If no one is there, surely.
Okay, fantastic. You are a HR head, yes.
Anyone else?
Okay, fantastic. So we have one more person, just one more person. So Danish is here, and one more person. Anyone, you can raise your hands. So I can see Radhakrishnan and Srinivasan ji on the screen here. Okay, Prachi, would you like to chip in?
Yes, sure.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks, Prachi. So what we have this very small bit of role play. So we have this scenario that a team leader who is key performer in the organization, but then he has this attitude issues with his team, and he's highly authoritative, and he really enforces a lot of things on people. And his team members really have a big issue with his attitude and his problems. So probably so his boss, pronouncing your name correctly, it's Danish, right? Danish.
Yeah.
Okay, so the boss, the team leader's boss, has actually requested Danish as the HR head to intervene in this and have a word with this team leader and give him feedback about whatever he's been hearing from his team people and his team manager. So, Danish, as a HR head, Prachi is that team leader.
So I got a lot of complaints about Prachi.
And she's in front of you, intervene, and you're going to give a feedback to Prachi. And remember that you have a lot of power in your hand because your appraisal and all that power. You also are aware that Prachi is a great key performer in your organization. So these are the two things that you're going to keep in mind. And you're going to share a feedback with Prachi on this. Yes, you guys can begin.
Hi Prachi, how are you?
Yes, hi Danish, I'm good. How are you?
क्या चल रहा है? All well?
Yes, everything is going on well. Yes.
How's your team is doing now?
Yeah, they are performing. Sometimes they make give some tantrums and they give some excuses. But yeah, they are doing good.
So anyone is there in your team or two cases or someone who are not performing well?
I cannot
Any
point
particular?
out any names as such,
Hmm.
but yeah, overall they are doing so, not very good, I would say.
Okay, okay. So क्या करना चाहिए? सो से बहुत अच्छा लेके जाने के लिए what we will do?
I have been trying to, order them, and I have been trying to tell them that they should be meeting my expectations and they should work well, and they should uh, abide by the right deadlines that we give. That's what I am doing.
Yeah, I agree. But I observe you are putting a lot of effort something on your team. But कहीं ना कहीं कुछ
Yes.
ना कुछ लग रहा है because what I find they're misspelling and people are discussing outside. So I think I should give you a feedback. Okay, you are too
Okay.
harsh with your team sometimes.
Okay.
They're not sharing
Okay.
openly, but
Right.
I guess it being HR in a gossip I found it. Okay, people are saying that Prachi is too harsh, she is putting too much pressure. So let's sit
Right.
together, think something so that work out. If
Okay.
someone is disturbing element, we can find out and target those
Okay.
guys. But meanwhile, being leader, if everyone is saying that you are harsh or somewhere and getting feedback
Okay.
regularly,
Right.
so we
Okay.
need to think of it and see how best we can do. Wherever you need our
Okay.
support, I am there to support you. काउंसलिंग करनी है,
Right.
बैठना है साथ में. बट यार एक चीज, इट्स माई हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट कि बीइंग लीडर वी मस्ट बी पोलाइट और विल सी हाउ बेस्ट वी कैन डू. अदरवाइज क्या टीम
Right.
फिर वो परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाती और दो तीन लोग गड़बड़ होते हैं, उसकी वजह से इम्पैक्ट सब पे आता है. वी आर देयर टू सपोर्ट यू. अगर अब
So,
लगता है यू विल बी नीड टू बी
right.
पोलाइट, आई एम देयर टू सपोर्ट यू, विल टेक हार्ड डिसीजन एवरीथिंग. वी गिव अ स्ट्रांग
Right.
मैसेज आल्सो द टीम. But
Okay.
being a team leader, you need to see somewhere something is missing or disconnecting
Okay.
or some behavior. So let's see together what we can do. Hope you are agree
Okay.
or
So
they disagree.
I have been trying to discipline them since a
Hmm.
long time. Maybe what you're saying is right. I maybe become too harsh or too authoritative just many a times, and that may be a possibility. I'll think about it and I'll see how I can work on my behavior and how better I can manage them and discipline them without sounding harsh. I can think. Definitely think about it.
We can work out. आपकी जगह I will take
Yes.
wear your hat. ठीक है, डिसिप्लिन इशू है कुछ भी है, you can just share with us. We'll take up further with
Right.
individual. And being leader, you need
Right.
to try to be a soft, polite. So
Okay.
let's see any change, any impact comes.
Yes. Yes.
और
I'll
बताओ और सब
surely
बढ़िया.
work on this. I'll surely keep this in mind and thank you for this feedback. Otherwise, I would have not, thought about. I mean, I would not have got this point if you wouldn't have given me this feedback. So thank you for this feedback, Danish, and
चलो
I'll
बाय.
surely work on it, and I'll get back to you if I need any help from you on
एनी
this.
टाइम कोई भी लगता है गड़बड़ कर रहा है बताओ आप. यू विल नीड टू बी पोलाइट. हम लोग बैठे हैं वहां पर आश होने के लिए. ठीक.
Yes, Definitely, definitely. Thank you so
Great,
much for your
great,
feedback.
guys. Great. Thank you so much. This was a fantastic role play. And I think, Danish, you did a fabulous job as a HR head. I
प्लान
think
रूटीन है हमारा
रोज
मैम आई एम टेकिंग केयर फॉर 3 plants
का काम है. I told you रोज का काम है, but that really came about, and it's an excellent, excellent way you dealt with it. Amazing.
thanks
Amazing, Danish. Amazing. I'm sure your organization is really, really fortunate to have you as the HR head. I mean, you really dealt with it amazingly. So, yeah, we don't have so much of time to get the audience viewpoint on this, but let us kind of, move ahead on this. Prachi, what did you feel as, being talked to with the HR head? What did you feel? How did he kind of come across to you?
The way he spoke, he was supportive, he was accommodative, and he gave his feedback without me feeling offended, maybe. So that was a plus.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, thanks, Prachi. So let's move on to the communication styles that we're going to talk about, and that is where we are going to really understand this role of feedback and this little role play that we just did right now. So we'll get into the communication style. So we all have a different style of communication. Like I just mentioned that Danish had an amazing style of communication. Let's also figure out, all of us sitting here, that what is our own personal communication style that we hold, right? So we generally categorize communication styles into 4 brackets. So one is the passive one. So we have these people, I mean, not only talking about the HR people, but generally people have this kind of a style who are very, no नहीं बोल पाएंगे कुछ भी आपको, आप कोई भी उनको, because they can't refuse, they can't say no to you, they will keep their feelings bottled up. So if they have not been promoted or not been given a due increment, they probably will not speak up, they will not go against silent doers in the organization. So as a result, what happens is they are extremely hardworking, but they also get overburdened with work because they are not able to kind of, speak up very confidently about what they really want to do or they don't want to do. And so such kind of people generally have this kind of passive communication style. And from the picture itself, we are seeing that how aggressive this guy is, right? So I think none of us would have worked, for whatever time period that we are working. I don't think any one of us wouldn't have encountered an aggressive boss or an aggressive person at work. So aggressive, of course, are someone who are go-getters, who take the limelight, who are absolutely fabulous in getting their work done. As a boss, they order around, they probably sometimes yell at people. And they're extremely aggressive in terms of their targets, their department goals, whatever needs to be done, they do that. But the flip side of being aggressive, having aggressive communication style is they may be the one who are the top rated performers in the organization. They probably will be the ones who would be probably winning the maximum awards and being appreciated and applauded by the entire organization publicly. But sometimes because of they sometimes are not liked by their counterparts, their peers, their juniors, even their seniors. They're not really liked. So because they're not liked, people do their jobs, but just out of fear or out of force. They don't love working for such kind of people. So this kind of a person, even though he gets his goals, everything achieved in time, maybe beyond all the targets are met, but somewhere he kind of is not liked and loved by people around him, so, or his department, or even, his own self, right? And then we come to this third style called the passive aggressive. So we have these kind of people, just say they're a combination of both, passive and aggressive. So you'll see a lot of people जो अंदर से कुछ होते हैं, बाहर से कुछ होते हैं, अंदर से बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा होता है किसी चीज पे, but बाहर they will give you a kind of silent treatment or a cold shoulder, so something like, for example, you have kind of walked in late in the organization, and so your office starts at 9:30 and you walk in at 10 o'clock, and this happens like on a daily basis. So this guy who is passive will, maybe a passive boss probably may not say something, or he'll say something really meekly. Aggressive one will probably yell at you and say, Ki, this term, don't expect any increment. You've been coming late. Absolute work is not done, and he'll shoo you out. This passive aggressive one will be super angry within. अंदर से super बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा होगा, but बाहर से he'll be like passive. बाहर से he'll be like, so आपकी तो 9:30 हो रहे हैं. So what is happening is, in front, the kind of expression that he is giving is, I'm not angry. But within, he is seething with anger, and he knows that he is not going to give a good appraisal to his, intern or his subordinate, for sure. He's taken anger. Aggressive guy will always show. So he'll be the same inside out. And passive aggressive will be dual face, So we have these kind of people also who are there. So it is important to kind of, sometimes see what are these guys really up to. And then we come to this the fourth communication is the assertive style. And look at this girl, the picture in the girl, she is vibrant. She's smiling, she's looking absolute style, right? So assertive style of communication is where you don't keep things bottled up. You are able to say what you wish to express very gently, politely, and without putting the other person down. Respectfully, take opinion, giving your opinion. And even if you want to say a no, you say that with a lot of respect, So for example, to a passive person, agar it's like time to go. Say, for example, it's and the boss comes and tells this passive guy that, ye wala file to complete karna hai aaj, this has to be done. I am leaving and this has to be done by 8 o'clock. This guy has picked up his bag, he's ready to move out, but he's so passive in his communication that he will not be able to even say a no. So he will sit down, he'll keep his bag, he'll grumble, he'll feel belittled, he'll feel pathetic, but he will not say anything, and he will put down his bag and he will start working again. So these kind of people sometimes, hold grudges, and these kind of people, pata hi nahi chalta kab ye log, they may be performers, and तुम्हें पता ही नहीं चलता कब ये लोग resign करके निकल जाते हैं, and you never get to know their reasons, कि हुआ क्या, ये तो बहुत ही अच्छा performer था, suddenly why is this guy, kind of resign. An assertive person, similarly, an assertive person in the same scenario, if you are going to give some kind of a assignment which is an overburdened thing, and this person has to leave, this person will, be respectful, but very diplomatically say that, I'll be leaving today. Is it okay if I can, put it on your table first thing in the morning tomorrow? Is that all right? I'm sorry, but I need to leave right now. This will be on your table tomorrow, 10 o'clock, boss. So you are not saying a no, I will not do it. You are also not saying a yes, that I'm going to sit late and I'm going to do it. So assertive people are the people who get the maximum work done. who are absolutely happy performers. They create wonderful organizations. And, when we talk about these communication styles, it is that all of us kind of float in all the four situationally every time. Sometimes we need to be passive, sometimes we need to be assertive, sometimes we also become passive aggressive when people don't understand. And of course, it is important and it's essential to, the end of everything, at the end of net, every organization wants to make profits. Right? That's the be all end, right? So one also needs to be aggressive in getting the work done. So even though we all fluctuate between all these four communication styles, but we also kind of lean in towards one, in a very, a dominating one style is definitely a dominating style. If you can kind of relate to it, any of these styles, which is your style, so you don't have to kind of share anything publicly. The whole idea of understanding these communication styles is that how we can, first of all, identify where exactly are we standing, So having an assertive communication style, especially as an HR leader, is so critical. Because as I shared earlier, that all the time we are talking with people, we are communicating something or the other with the employees in the organizations, right? And sometimes in certain organizations where HR is also a direct part of the business, business HR, they also are connected with the shareholders, or maybe the other delegations or other stakeholders beyond the organizations also, right? Depending on your level in the organizations. So our goal is to have an assertive communication style. So one can always relate to where one is right now and see how one can kind of move ahead, one step towards understanding that which is our and which is my communication style. If I'm not assertive wherever I am, how can I move towards becoming an assertive communicator or an assertive HR leader, in my organization? And it makes a lot of difference. It makes a huge difference because, HR people actually are a support function, but they communicate essential information to employees. They are, in a way, they're the custodians of their organizations, because a lot of confidential information is usually with the HR, the compensation, the salary structure, the metrics, the designation, at what are they really planning to promote, the succession planning, all that is absolutely confidential information, and that stays with the organization. So it's so essential that, we as HR people become absolutely assertive in our communication styles. We cannot get kind of bogged down, or we cannot become super aggressive with people in talking about a lot of things, right? So, so as I shared that, why are we really focusing on having assertive communication, especially for the HR leader, that we'll have better because we'll be able to express our viewpoints. Sometimes HR is treated as a dump yard. It's a big grievance redressal, even unsaid, I would say, unmentioned, unwritten grievance redressal department for people, किसी का कोई प्रमोशन नहीं हुआ, वो सीधे एचआर के पास आता है कि ब्ला 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 ब्ला, ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऐसी है, एंड ये मेरा इस बार प्रमोशन होना था, ये हुआ नहीं है. They sometimes aren't able to talk to their boss, so they take help of HR in that. So of course, when you have an assertive communication style, you always bring in respect and support from people, because you become absolutely likable, and as a HR person, it is essential to become a likable person in the organization, because you are, even though you may be heading an organization in terms of HR, actually you talk parallelly, so you talk everywhere as an HR person. So it is essential that you are respected, you are liked, you are loved, and you're supported by your people, your team people, and even in your organization, whosoever you are dealing with. So of course, when you express yourself, there are fewer misunderstandings, which definitely leads to lesser stress for you as a person. And it is a researched, again, a research fact that a person who has an assertive communication style has a higher self-esteem, because you are able to express what is in your heart, you are able to talk it out, you're able to respect people, you don't look down on people, you're able to take in the opinions, various different opinions of other people. So you carry a higher self-esteem, and people who have a higher self-esteem, wherever they work, they are always happy. They're a happy lot, and that we had this meaningful feedback, so it is because Danish was very clear in talking about what he had to talk. So he was very clear in telling Prachi that what was wrong in her style. And he was also very clear in giving a very constructive feedback and saying that I'm there to support you. We are all there to support you. And I love the way he started the conversation, by a generic, polite conversation of hello, halchal kya hai, kya, sting the feedback on Prachi about मैंने ये सुना है, तुम्हारे बारे में वो सुना है. This is how asked Prachi that अगर आपको लगता है कि ये 2-3 जने आपकी टीम में अच्छा नहीं परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, तो क्या करना चाहिए? I think this is an excellent way a HR person can handle any kind of conflict, within their to different levels of people in the organization. So it's not about even giving feedback, it's also about taking in feedback, from people, because you know for sure, all of you being in HR know it's a thankless organization. Kitna bhi aap kar lo, but you do get the brickbats, because everyone cannot be pleased at a time. And especially when you become unhappy, there is a lot of attrition, there is a lot of resignations that happen post the appraisal period. And उस समय हम कैसे feedback लेते हैं as a HR person, और कैसे feedback देते हैं, that it really of the HR people in providing meaningful feedback and even taking in constructive feedback, from people. So that way, if we kind of are very conscious of our communication style, we can really work on these kind of aspects. Right, so we'll move on to the second part of the communication style, about listening, right? So when we talk about communication, so generally हम जो अगर हम कोई बोलते हैं चलो आज एक communication workshop attend करते हैं, so what comes to our mind is कि हाँ, they are going to teach us how to speak better, how to be a public speaker, how to kind of be in effective communicator, body language, blah blah blah, communicator. listening becomes an talk, you listen, there is a cycle in talking, So you listen, you talk, you listen, you talk, you listen, you talk. There is a cycle that happens. So if the cycle, in this cycling, only talking is happening, bole ja rahe ho, and you're not even bothered, kisko kuch samajh aa raha hai, other person is actually kind of, understanding what you're trying to say, that listening part is missing, then somewhere the cycle is incomplete. तो हमें पता नहीं चलता कि हमने communicate तो किया, लेकिन हमने effectively communicate किया कि नहीं. That we never get to know till the time we don't listen. So it is a cycle. So as HR people, I think it's absolutely of paramount importance that we kind of mode of listening. So this is this. I remember when I was working as a HR, and this my last stint was with HCL Technologies, and I remember post these appraisal times. So I was taking exit interviews of a couple of people, when they resigned. And it is just because I just sat there listening to these guys completely undisturbed and without any interruption. I just my ear completely listened to these guys. Two of these guys actually reverted their resignations after meeting me. So that became a talk of the town at that time. And that is the time I really realized that such a superpower listening is, that when you really listen to what people have to speak, then whatever you talk makes a lot of sense and it impacts. And as again and again, like I'm saying, because we are all a bunch of HR people over here. So as HR people, this is one thing that we sometimes, kind of do not focus on. But if we kind of, realize the fact that communication is not only about talking, but more about listening, less about talking, more about listening, then even talking becomes hugely, impactful. Right? So let's understand. So when we talk about listening, so we categorize listenings into 5 levels of listening. And are we floating around, and where are we really sticking on to which aspect or which level of listening? So the first level is ignoring. In college days, कोई chapter या कोई subject boring होता था, तो हम बैठे होते थे and we were just listening to the teacher. सारा ध्यान out of the window है, या talking and chatting or eating lunch and completely ignoring, just kind of not even listening to what the other person has to say, and pretending is sometimes, second level is pretending, where we are simply, as a self-explanatory, we are pretending to listen. We are not actually listening at all. So this is like when we are sitting, in a boardroom, very important meeting chal rahi hai, and the person is going on and on and on. तो तुम pretend कर रहे हो, बड़ी नींद आ रही है या boring लग रहा है अरे तो फिर शुरू हो गया. So we are just kind of pretending to listen. So we are nodding our head, we're keeping our eye contact, and we are just showing the entire world that, oh wow, we are attending it. We are, but we at all, right? So the same thing we do with employees also in the organizations. Then we come to the third level, which is the selective listening. So selective में क्या होता है? जैसे for example, हमने टीवी चला लिया या हमने FM हमें सुनना है. So you want to kind of probably नेटफ्लिक्स में एक पर्टिकुलर कोई मूवी देखनी है, कोई न्यू मूवी देखनी है ना, तो इतना सारा नेटफ्लिक्स में आ जाता है, योर सिलेक्टेड वन, recommended ones, and TV shows and movies and whatever. So you keep surfing through it till you find your choice of the show or the movie you wish to see, and then you click on that and then you see. So that is kind of selective listening. So you want to selectively listen to a particular song, maybe Lata Mangeshkar or R.D. Burman or anyone. So you kind of scroll through the entire FM channels, but you only select the one that you want to hear. So similarly here also in the organization, sometimes we do selective listening of what the other person is saying. हमें जो सुनना होता है हम वही सुनते हैं, हमें जो नहीं सुनना उसका हम we don't even pay two hoots to it. So many times we do this, our team members or even with our bosses. So we do indulge in selective listening. Fourth level is a higher level of listening, which is called the listening. So now at this level, we are paying attention to what the other person is saying. We are listening. We are there for the other person, whatever the other person is talking. But the point is कि we are only attentive to the point कि हम wait करें कि हमें कब बोलने का मौका मिलेगा. ये बोलना अब ये बोले जा रहा है बंदा, ये जैसे ही बोलना बंद करेगा ना मैं अपना आंसर देने वाला हूँ. So you are being pulled up for something. And you know that it is probably not your mistake or whatever. So you are only listening, you're being very attentive in listening to the other person, but only to the extent where you are waiting to answer back to that person, तो अपनी टर्न की वेट कर रहे हो कब बोलना है मुझे और क्या बोलना है. So sometimes what is happening is while you are paying attention, but you're also making up your answers in your mind. So while listening, you are also kind of, thinking कि इसके बाद मुझे क्या बोलना है, इसके बाद मुझे क्या बोलना है. Your mind is racing quicker than you're listening, right? So this is one level which I think most of us are there many times. So इस level का क्या flip side है? We tend to become judgmental at this level. So when we are only into attentive listening, we are only kind of listening to answer, then हम वही kind of अपने हिसाब से सुनते हैं, so we tend to become judgmental. We don't hear out the person completely, right? So what we really talk about as the highest level of listening is something called the empathic listening, and this comes from the root word empathy. And empathy is, while we understand as an English word, is putting yourself in other person's shoes or understanding what the other person is going through. So empathic listening as a HR person is so crucial, because when people come to you with their concerns, with their grievances, with their problems, then how much of us are present as a person in front of them? Are we ignoring, pretending, selective, attentive listening kar rahe hain, ya are we there 100% with that person? So not interrupting and listening to them completely, and not like, digging our heads into our laptop. हाँ बोल मैं सुन रहा हूँ, या एक मिनट रुक जा मैं बस एक ये मैसेज कंप्लीट कर लूँ, मैं तेरी बात सुनता हूँ. So are we really there for the other person 100% in our complete sense? Physically, mentally, emotionally, kind of get onto this level of listening, we become absolutely super effective HR leaders. Absolutely. So let's just dive into understanding a little bit about empathic listening, that how is it different. So first is that listening till the other person feels, yourself understand what the other person is saying. It is till the other person feels understood कि उसको जो बोलना था उसने बोल दिया है कि नहीं. Even if that person is talking rubbish, but उसको तुम सुन रहे हो with that heart and with that mind, that person should feel understood. Like for example, someone has come to you and is talking something about the mismanagement happening in the organization, and तुम्हें पता है कि वो एकदम गलत बोल रहा है, and इसका ये perception है for whatever reason, but you are not listening to that person so that you understand कि वो बंदा क्या कह रहा है. there is a slight difference. Person is being understood or not in front of you. This is that airline difference in having or giving an empathic listening to the other person and probably just giving an attentive ear to the other person. Second point is not when we are being sympathetic or we are really being nice to the other person, and especially kind of being really warm to the other person in understanding. So हम हाँ हूँ करते रहते हैं, हाँ ऐसे वो जो बोल रहा है, even we know sometimes it is incorrect factual data, but we kind of just say हाँ में हाँ मिलाते हैं. That is not empathic listening. You definitely have to, like how Danish कंप्लीटली हाँ में हाँ नहीं मिलाई, हाँ हाँ ऐसे करना चाहिए, तुम्हें ऐसे करना चाहिए, वो 2-3 जनों के साथ चलो फिर देखते हैं आप कैसे परफॉर्म करते हो. नहीं, he did not agree with her, when she kind of whatever she said or the feedback that was given, he completely expressed it out very clearly. He listened to her initially, but he also said that I don't agree to this, that whatever feedback he had, Prachi very clearly. So he did not agree everything, right? And third point, which is very essential, is empathy isn't sympathy. So sympathy, we sometimes get confused with these two terms, empathy and sympathy. So when we are there with the other people and that person is, even in our personal life or at work life, sometimes we feel that, just being with the other person is, hum usko sympathy de rahe hain, and that person kind of, becomes, opens up to us, and we have a much more cordial relationship with that person. Even at work, it really helps, hearing out the other person, it really helps. हाँ ये तो बहुत बुरा हुआ तुम्हारे साथ यार, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए था, ये ऐसे कैसे इन्होंने ये कर दिया यार, इनको पता नहीं है कि ये सेल्स वाले लोग कितना उनको बाहर फील्ड में रहना पड़ता है, ये तो मैनेजमेंट का ऐसे ही है. This is like giving sympathy to the other person. Empathy is, like how I said, listening to the other person, making the other person feel understand, not necessary that you empathize with the other person. You do not make the other person dependent on you, for expressing and for venting out all the times. So you do not, like, people love to ride on the wave of sympathies. People love to do that. People flock around people जो उनके साथ रहते हैं, हाँ में हाँ मिलाते हैं. People love to be like that. We all would have been witness to these kind of situations at work, right? People love to be, हाँ में हाँ जो मिलाता है वो उसी का, what you get psychophancy होती है. But that's not what is empathy, right? So we don't have to be sympathetic with the other person. So this is one thing where, the point that I really wanted to share. And this very famous quote, I think we all would have read it so many times, that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we should listen more than what we have to really say. So as HR practitioners, as HR leading, it's essential when we talk about communication that what exactly are we, understanding from this term of communication. I really wanted to share with all of you. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming for this session organized by Submastery.